The Postman Always Rings Twice, based on the famous novel by James M. Cain. It stars Lana Turner as Cora Smith and John Garfield as Frank Chambers. The Lady Esther Screen Guild players in The Postman Always Rings Twice.
Tavern, the place was called. You know the kind of joint I mean. You can see one on any road in America. An old wooden house that had been remodeled, a lunchroom added in on the front, and a gasoline pump out in the yard. A sign was hanging on the pump, "Man Wanted." So I opened the door and walked in. She was standing there near the counter, dressed all in white. White and cool on that hot afternoon. And looking at me as if I was dirt. She didn't fool me, though. Not even that. She was dynamite and a cake of ice. I knew it. And she knew it. She knew I knew it. And when she found she couldn't stand me down...
Something you want?
Not a thing. I just work here.
Oh, since when?
Since you asked.
Well, the best way not to be working here is to try and be funny. Just remember that, Mr. Smart Guy.
She was the boss's wife. Her name was Cora Smith. And every chance she got, she showed me she didn't like me. A lot. I knew I had to take it slow and easy, so I just stuck to my job and tried to get in solid with the boss. That part was a cinch. The poor guy had had so much trouble with help. By the end of the week, we were just like pals.
Oh, go ahead, Frank. Have some wine. We got to celebrate tonight.
You're the boss, Nick.
Hey, Cora, some wine for you?
No, thanks.
Oh, you're the one should be celebrating. You've been wanting that neon sign for 2 years. Frank, you ever see a finer sign than that?
I never have.
Honest, the way she kept begging for that sign, you'd think it was the most...
Nick, why don't you play something on the guitar?
Yeah, why don't you, Nick?
Well, sure. Maybe Cora will do a little dance for us. She's a wonderful dancer.
No, I always feel silly dancing alone. Put on a record, Nick, and I'll dance with you.
Oh, listen to her, Frank. I keep telling her I'm like a lot of smart men. My brains are not in my feet. Hey, come on, Cora.
How about me dancing with Mrs. Smith?
Well, I don't feel...
Why not? Go ahead, Cora. I like to watch dancing.
That was the first time I ever had her in my arms. Right under Nick's nose. I didn't say a thing, and neither did she. But I guess we both knew. Then all of a sudden, she pulled away.
Oh, that's enough, Nick. Save your strength.
Oh, but Cora, you dance so nice together.
Yeah, well, it's too hot to dance. I think I'll drive down to the beach for a swim.
Oh, that's a good idea. You haven't been out of this place for a month.
I'll go get my things. I won't be long.
Say, Nick, why don't we all go down for a swim?
Well, I don't swim very well, and the undertow's pretty strong.
You mind if I ride down in the car with her?
Well, not if she doesn't.
Thanks. Say, if that undertow's so strong, I'm going to stay close to shore.
I don't know why you had to come along. You haven't even been near the water.
I know. I promised Nick.
Promised him what?
That I'd stay close to shore. Tell me something. How did you ever come to marry him?
That's none of your business.
No need to get sore. You come from this part of California?
No.
Where then?
Don't laugh. Iowa.
Why the don't laugh?
Oh, that tired old joke. Everybody in Southern California is supposed to come from Iowa.
Did you come here with Nick?
No, I only met Nick 4 years ago. And the next question you asked before.
Maybe I knew the answer when I asked.
Oh, sure. You've got it all figured out. A smart little Jenny marries herself into a nice, steady business. Well, let me tell you something, Mr. Smarty Pants. When I married Nick, he only had a couple of $100. Starting the Twin Oaks was my idea. And if it's making nice money by now, it's as much me as Nick.
That wasn't what I meant.
Well, the rest is still none of your business.
Okay. Your life. Sounds a little dull to me.
To you it would, from what Nick tells me about your ideas.
What's wrong with my ideas? To have my fun now, not when I'm old and rich and retired?
Oh, rich and retired. I think you'll end up a first-rate tramp.
I don't think you think that at all. Come on. Let's go back. I wouldn't want Nick getting any ideas.
Listen, Nick hasn't any reason to get ideas.
I know he hasn't. Yet.
Well, I think we'd better be getting on home.
Wait a minute.
Frank, stop.
All right. I kissed you. Nick's got his reason. Now what?
Just what I told you. We're going home.
All the way home, all the next morning, she wouldn't even talk to me. But I had a feeling it wasn't just because she was mad. So I waited till Nick had started for town, and then I walked into the kitchen. Cora.
Get out of here. Are you crazy? Where's Nick?
He just had a brainstorm and drove into L.A. He thinks the laundry service is cheating him. Cora, honey.
No. No, wait, Frank. Please. I want to tell you something.
What?
Frank, about that question.
What question?
Why I married Nick.
Well, my answer is that Nick came along at the right time with a wedding ring.
Yeah, a wedding ring was the first thing he mentioned.
And, of course, you liked that. You'd always had to fight off a lot of guys.
A lot of guys. All the guys. I don't especially like the way I look sometimes, but I never met a man since I was 14 who didn't want to give me an argument about it.
So by the time Nick came along, you were ready to marry anybody who owned a gold watch.
Well, I told him I didn't love him. I told him...
And he said that would come in time. But it didn't.
Oh, honest, I meant to stick by him.
And so you married him and retired the undefeated champ.
Not 100% undefeated. Not now.
Cora.
Wait a minute, what's that?
Sounds like somebody trying to get in.
Was the lunchroom door locked?
Yeah. I must have locked it.
Frank, they've gone away. What time is it? Is it getting late?
It's almost 6. Nick ought to be back in a half hour.
Frank, we're not going on like this, are we?
No. I've been thinking about us going away.
Well, that's what I've been thinking, too, almost ever since I saw you. Frank, I'll leave a note for Nick. But where'll we go?
How do I know? Depends on which way we can thumb a ride.
There goes another one whizzing by.
Don't worry, Cora. We'll get a lift.
But when? Oh, I don't know which is more tired, my thumb or my arches.
Now, wait a minute. Let's take time out. Here, sit on the bag. Now, let's have it. What's on your mind?
Frank, if I divorce Nick, he'll never give me a nickel. He'll keep the Twin Oaks and everything.
What do we care?
Well, maybe it doesn't mean anything to you, but I want to be somebody. And the Twin Oaks is mine. If I walk out like this, I'll lose all I put in it. And I'll never be anybody. Oh, I love you, Frank. And I want you. But not this way. Not starting off like a couple of tramps. I'm going back.
Okay. You're the boss.
Oh, please understand it. It's only because I love you and... Frank!
What's the matter now?
The note I left for Nick. Oh, if he gets home before we do.
Well, where'd you leave it?
In the cash register.
The first place you look. Come on. Let's get back there.
Oh, it's okay. The note's still here. Gee, we made it, Frank.
Not by much. Wait a minute. Isn't that Nick's car coming up the road?
Oh, then I'd better put that bag away.
Well, wait a minute. Why is he driving like that, from side to side?
We must have been celebrating again. He's drunk.
He's either drunk or he's crazy. Hey, look out! Look out, that truck! Boy, that was close. I wish he'd get into that car someday and get plastered and drive off a cliff.
Frank, you don't mean that. You were joking.
Sure, I was joking.
Of course you were joking. Of course.
I couldn't get to sleep that night. Maybe I was afraid of sleep. Maybe I was afraid I'd dream. And so I went outside and I lit a cigarette and I walked around. I noticed the light was on in Nick and Cora's room. Then, almost without knowing it, I was standing near their window. That's how I happened to hear what I did.
Oh, but Cora, there's something to celebrate, isn't it, if I sell the Twin Oaks at a big profit?
But that's what I don't understand. We're making good money. Why sell out now?
Oh, for one thing, so you can take it easy. We're going back to Michigan to live with my sister.
Your sister? You never even told me you had a sister.
Well, I didn't want to worry you. You see, she hasn't been well for the last few years. Sort of paralyzed. She needs us to take care of her.
Oh, you mean she needs me? She needs a free nurse.
Well, now, Cora, please.
I won't do it, Nick. And I won't let you sell. Half of this place ought to be mine. More than half of it. All of it. And I'll stop you somehow.
I don't think so, Cora. Remember when we got married, that little paper you signed?
Well, that just gave you the right to rent this place for us.
That's what I let you think. That paper was what they call a marriage settlement.
Nick. Nick, you didn't do that to me. Why, you thief. You cheat, you liar.
Well, after all, I'd only known you a couple of weeks. I had to protect that house back in Michigan. But since you don't care about my sister, that paper can cover the Twin Oaks, too.